Good afternoon, USC. Thank you so much for tuning in. Our conversation with the space station will begin shortly. Today, we will be talking to NASA astronaut and Mr. Hoburg's brother, Woody Hoburg. Like us, Woody is also from Pittsburgh. He grew up and went to school in North Allegheny. He then received a Bachelor of Science in Aeronautics and Astronautics at MIT and a Master of Science followed by a PhD in Electrical Engineering and Computer Science from the University of California at Berkeley. Woody is part of NASA's SpaceX Crew 6 mission. They launched from Kennedy Space Center Launch Pad 39A on March 2nd and will be in space for a total of approximately 180 days. Mr. Hoburg, Mrs. Smith, and I, along with countless administrators and district staff members, have been working really hard to make this event possible. I'm very passionate about space science and exploration, and I can't wait to share a piece of it with you. And now I'd like to pass it off to Mr. Hoburg to tell us a little more about Woody.
Thanks, Reese. And before I do that, just a huge thank you to all of the district for being here all at once. It's really special that we took time out of our days here in May to make this event happen. And especially to all of our district administrators, teachers, and really a huge thank you to Mrs. Smith, who's done boatloads of work to make this event happen. So thank you to all of you, as well as the astronauts up in space and the mission controllers down in Houston. I often hear my brother get asked a couple of questions about being in space, and one of those is, how do you go to the bathroom in space? And I feel like I'm going to save that one for another time. Like, we can ask him that later if we want to, but I'm not going to try to answer that. And the other one is, how do you get to be an astronaut? And that's a really interesting question, and he has some neat answers to that. But I do know, if I look at his class, he was selected in 2017, and I look at some of the backgrounds of members in that class. There are Navy SEALs, there are engineers, there are biologists, there are submarine lieutenant commanders, there are members of our armed forces from the Air Force, Army, and Navy. There's a professor, a marine biologist, and a geologist. So it's a really, really broad scope of professions that people have to become NASA astronauts. And one of the reasons I think that's important for us to consider in a school is because when you think about your day-to-day interactions, it doesn't really matter what you're passionate about as long as you attack all of those passions with vigor and put your whole heart forward into pursuing those passions, because they can all lead to something really special, like a career with NASA, like a spot up on the ISS. The other thing I think that's really noteworthy about NASA is every single person I've had the opportunity to meet through NASA is extremely humble, and they all recognize the power of a team. Even though people like my brother get the opportunity to actually fly in space, there's a whole network of people down on the ground helping them to accomplish the mission, and they're all very quick to pass praise onto those other people that aren't necessarily up on board, but are still a really important part of the program. So I share that because oftentimes in school, we have opportunities to do things like a chemistry lab report, for instance, with a group of people. And I think it's important to remember that the power of working in teams is a great skill for us to hone here while we're in high school, because it can lead to really great things down the road. And of course, we are way better off working as a team than as individuals. We can accomplish so much more. So now we're going to go live to Mission Control in Houston. Stay with us for a few moments. We'll be connecting with Woody on the ISS in about 5 or 6 minutes, but please stay with this audio feed. It's not going away. Stay here with us, and he will connect in about 6 minutes.
Hey, Amy, with you on 4, and we're ready for the event. Upper St. Clair High School, how do you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear.
All right, well, hello, and on behalf of the Expedition 69 crew, it's an honor to welcome you aboard the International Space Station. I'm talking to you today from the U.S. laboratory, and excited to take your questions.
Hi, Woody. Thank you so much for joining us today in Upper St. Clair. I'm Reese, and our first question today comes from Hunter.
Hi, my name is Hunter and I'm in 11th grade. My question is, what kind of training and education did you need before you went to space?
Well, one of the coolest things about the astronaut corps is all the unique pathways that people take to becoming astronauts. We have people that come from the military, we have civilians such as myself, and really everybody takes a wildly different path through life to eventually get selected. In my case, I studied aerospace engineering and computer science, and then I also did some search and rescue work and some flying outside of kind of my main job.
Hi, my name is Pranita and I'm in 4th grade. My question is, how is computer coding involved with space exploration?
That is an awesome question. Actually, really everything around me up here, our rockets, our spacecraft, the International Space Station, all of the systems on board this amazing place, it's all, almost all of it has software under the hood. And so I really can't think of a more exciting time than right now to get involved in software engineering and computer science. It's something I'm very passionate about, and I'll say the spacecraft that we have today are incredibly complex machines, very much powered by software.
Hi, my name is William Kobeski and I'm in 4th grade. My question is, how do you scratch your face during a spacewalk?
Another great question. We have a device inside our helmet in our suit that's called a Valsalva device, and we use that to perform something called the Valsalva maneuver to deal with the pressure changes. But it turns out it's a little foam block, and it's actually really useful also for scratching your nose.
Hi, my name is Cadence and I'm in 10th grade. My question is, what things surprised you when you first went up to the International Space Station? Did you get to bring anything with you?
Well, one of the amazing things up here is just watching how the human body adapts. One of the really interesting things is you quickly snap to different reference frames. So for example, I've been talking to you in what I think of as vertical, but I can flip around here and talk to you in this orientation, and this feels totally normal to me. I can quickly reorient myself and think that this is a normal direction to be facing, and then flip around, and all of it just feels the same. So that's been a really interesting feeling to get used to. In terms of things I brought up some photos from back home, and I also brought up this t-shirt, which was designed by Reese, one of your Upper St. Clair students. So thanks so much for this amazing t-shirt design.
Hi, my name is Drew, and my question is, do you play games in space?
We sure do play games. In fact, we have been playing a game of chess with Mission Control, and that's been really fun. We actually have a chessboard, a little chessboard up here. It's magnetic, so the pieces don't float away. And there's another version of the same game down in Mission Control, actually in several Mission Control centers around the world. And we're playing a game. We do about 1 or 2 moves a day. And right now it's Mission Control's moves, so we're looking forward to hearing what they're in for next.
Hi, my name is Annie and I'm in 4th grade. My question is, what is weightlessness like?
Well, weightlessness is really cool. We are constantly floating It's kind of amazing that I have to pinch myself every so often, just realizing I've been up here for over 80 days now, and it feels completely normal to just be weightless. Everything floats. You can put something down by just setting it there, and it will not drop. So it's just a wild, wild experience. It's also interesting because you can't set things down and leave them in one place. So you notice up here we have a lot of Velcro. I have Velcro here on my pant legs. We have Velcro all over the space station. And that way, for example, that chessboard that I just showed you, I actually Velcroed it to the wall here. Because if I were to set that on a table or something, it would just float away.
Hi, my name is Kyler and I'm in 3rd grade. I often wonder what astronauts miss about Earth, but now I wonder, what will you miss about space once you leave?
Oh, I have an easy answer to that. I'm going to miss looking out the window. Looking out the window up here is just absolutely amazing. After a long, hard day of work, I always try to go take a look out the cupola and just spend some time admiring Earth and taking photos. So I will definitely miss that experience.
Hi, Woody. It's Reese again. So I've heard of cool effects like the Zanabekov effect. Are there any other cool space-specific phenomena that you could show us?
Hang on, I'm grabbing my props. All right, so one of the cool things up here is how water behaves. Water, without in weightlessness, is dominated by the effects of surface tension. And so you can make bubbles. The water tends to stick to everything. It sticks to us, it sticks to any objects that it touches, and it also sticks to itself. So you can make little bubbles like this, and then they just turn into absolutely perfect spheres. You can actually look through them and see the world upside down through the bubble, and then you can drink them.
Hi, my name is Uriah, and I'm in 8th grade. My question is, what kind of spaceship did you ride up on? Did you enjoy the ride?
Great question. So I had the honor of getting to fly on a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft. That's the capsule that we flew up and docked to the International Space Station. Our capsule is actually still docked. We use that as our escape vehicle if we ever needed to go home in an emergency. And that Dragon vehicle was on top of a Falcon 9 rocket. That ride was incredible. Both the first and second stages get us up to between 3.5 and 4 Gs of acceleration, and it is a real sports car. It's just a really amazing ride up to low Earth orbit.
Hi, my name is Alexis, and I'm in 6th grade. I noticed that astronauts sometimes wear their helmets in their ship. Why is that?
That's a great question. So the helmets on our suits that we wear in our vehicle provide really occupant protection for largely the descent portion. So when we go back downhill to Earth, we have parachute deployment events and then splashdown into the ocean. And both of those are pretty dynamic events where we definitely want to be well restrained and also have that helmet on. And then the helmet is actually part of an entire suit that provides the ability to pressurize. And so that is some redundancy for us in the event that we had an emergency on our spacecraft, such as a depressurization or a fire. We want to be able to have that self-contained atmosphere, and that's what that suit, which has the integrated helmet, provides for us.
Hi, my name is Darsh, and I'm in 6th grade. I would like to know, what G-forces do you experience while going up into space?
Well, we start out right around 1.5 Gs at liftoff, so that's just a little more than the 1 G. We call it 1 G when you're just sitting on a rocket still. So a little more than that initially, and then as the fuel burns off, the rocket gets lighter and the G-forces increase. So at the end of the first stage, we're up around 3.5 Gs, and then we have a staging event. We go back down to about 0.7 Gs when the second stage ignites, and then Again, the fuel burns, and over time, as the vehicle gets lighter, acceleration increases all the way up to about 4 Gs right at second stage engine cutoff.
Hi, my name is Faith, and I'm in 8th grade. My question is, do you think humans colonize Mars?
Yes. I think that human beings have an innate drive to explore, and one of the coolest things we could possibly do is explore further and deeper into our solar system than we've ever been. So I absolutely think that includes landing humans on Mars and then both returning them safely to Earth and also setting up some bases on Mars. I'm really excited because right now we're taking what I see as the first step in that journey, which is going to the moon, again, for the first time in many decades with the Artemis program. We're going to have Artemis 2 launching in just a couple years, and soon after that we will be landing humans back on the moon, and we'll be setting up a proving ground there to ultimately get to Mars.
Hi, my name is Dominic, and I'm in 2nd grade. My class is wondering, what is your favorite food to eat on board the space station?
All right, I brought a couple more props for food. So we have lots of delicious foods up here. It's a really amazing menu with a lot of variety. One of my favorite foods is macaroni and cheese, actually. That's a really good one. This one here is broccoli with cheese. This one is actually rehydratable, so we inject hot water into this packet, and it very quickly rehydrates into a delicious snack. And then we also have food like this one. This is vegetable casserole, and this is just kind of food in a pouch. So you put this pouch in our food warmer, heat it up, and then just open the pouch and eat the food right out of it, and that's also absolutely delicious.
Hi, my name is Quinn, and I'm in 2nd grade. This question comes from Olivia G. She wants to know, what are you studying at the International Space Station?
That's a great question. The ISS is one of our national laboratories, and at any given time, we're carrying out actually hundreds of scientific research studies. We're often studying ourselves and how the human body adapts to living and working in space. That's one thing. We are always studying Earth, things like the atmosphere and how mineral dust moves on the surface of Earth and the effects of climate change. We also study the cosmos with devices like the alpha magnetic spectrometer that's outside on the truss of the space station. And then we also use the space station as kind of a technology demonstrator. So we do things like protein folding or crystal growth and 3D printing up here, where we're looking at specific technologies that take advantage of our weightless environment here. So that's really cool. And then finally, we use this as a proving ground to study living and working in space so that we can get better at that as we go on to the moon and Mars. And we've been doing that up here for about 22 years, and we're always learning how to get better at living and working in space.
Hi, my name is Chance, and I'm in 9th grade. This question comes from Regan S. She asks, what would happen if a crew member had a medical emergency?
Well, that's a great question. It's actually, you can probably just barely see it down here in the bottom of the view, but we actually have a kind of backboard set up here, and this is a particular portion of the U.S. lab that we always keep clear for exactly that case where if we had a crew member in distress and needed to handle a medical emergency. We have an amazing team of flight surgeons on the ground that would absolutely step in right away and help guide us. We also get a lot of great training about what to do, our initial steps if we did have a crew member with a medical emergency. And ultimately, the team, both up here and on the ground, would be faced with the decision of whether to try to treat the situation on board or whether to bring the crew member home right away.
Hi, Woody, it's Reese again. My question is, how does the process of conducting scientific research on the space station differ from that on Earth?
That's a really great. I think one of the ways it differs in my mind is oftentimes on Earth, when you have researchers conducting scientific research, they themselves are often the experts on the research they're conducting. Up here, like I said, I'm often involved in tens of different research studies in a given week, let's say. So I'm doing a lot of different things, but I'm certainly not the expert on any of the studies that I'm working on. The experts are on the ground. And so we have just an amazing team around the world helping us to carry out all this research. And one of the interesting things is just the dynamic where we're up here, we're kind of the eyes and the ears, the noses and the hands doing research and seeing what's going on. But really the expertise is on the ground, and so the interaction and making that work is part of what makes this really fun.
This question comes from Aaron F. How many planets can you see from the International Space Station?
Another great question. So we're here in low Earth orbit, which means we're actually pretty close to Earth. And many of our windows face down towards Earth, but we do sometimes get views out over the horizon into space, kind of into what you would think of as the night sky. It's actually quite similar to what the sky looks like from Earth. It's maybe a little more clear view since we're not looking through the atmosphere, but our view of the stars and other planets looks very similar to what you get if you maybe get away from the city into the mountains and get a clear view of the night sky. We have views of Venus and Jupiter, Mars, and it's just absolutely gorgeous from up here.
This question comes from Philip M. He asks, can you do a flip for us?
I can try. This is dangerous. It's possible that I'll make a fool of myself, but let's try it.
That was a pretty cool flip. This question comes from Sophia C. What's the first thing you want to do when you get back to Earth?
So, great question. I want to take a real shower.
This question is from Julian S. What is the temperature like both inside and outside of the ISS?
Great question. So inside, it's kind of a constant, roughly 72 degrees Fahrenheit all the time. There are a few modules that are slightly warmer and slightly colder than other modules, but we really keep a nice temperature in here. I'm typically wearing a t-shirt, and I'm quite comfortable in that. Outside, it's actually interesting. It's somewhat hard to define temperature outside in the vacuum of space because temperature is all about molecules moving around. And so when there are no molecules, it's hard to define what temperature is. But one place you can define it is on the surface of an object. So on the outside of the space station, when we have metal parts that are in the sun, they tend to heat up and they can get pretty hot, almost so hot that you wouldn't want to touch them. And then in contrast, when we're in the shadow of Earth at night, the things can get very, very cold. I don't have a number, but it's well below 0 degrees Celsius, and those temperature swings are really interesting for the materials up here. They have to undergo some pretty extreme conditions dealing with all those temperature swings.
This question is from Kate M. What is the most important thing to do while still on Earth to prepare for takeoff and living in space?
Well, I would definitely say just the training that we go through. So I found out that I was going to be flying on this mission just about 2 years before I launched. And so I was lucky to spend 2 years training and preparing for all different aspects of the mission. And that training process was really, really fun. but I also know that it really prepared me for being here. And it's just amazing that the team all around the world, we go to our international partners, we spend time training with them on their different modules of the space station. We spend time with SpaceX training on the vehicle that I flew up in. We have great training facilities in Houston, both for the inside of the space station, and then we have a pool where we practice spacewalking on the outside of the space station. And all told, all of those training experiences put together really make us ready for these missions.
This question is from Ellie A. She asks, how do you breathe on the space station?
Well, the atmosphere of the space station is actually basically the sea level atmosphere on Earth. So we're 14.7 psi in here. We're about 72 degrees Fahrenheit. So we just have, we can just breathe normally on board. That's great. We have CO2 scrubbing equipment and all sorts of life support equipment up here that keeps our atmosphere revitalized and working well for us. I also brought one more bit of show and tell. So I brought, in the case of an emergency, we have breathing masks. And so these are the masks that we put on if we had, let's say, a fire or some kind of toxic atmosphere. And these last long enough to typically get ourselves connected to a different supply of breathing air. But these are what we put on in case we do have an emergency event. I'll pull it out here. So this is called a PBA, a portable breathing apparatus. It's basically just a tank of oxygen, and it has a mask, and it allows us to breathe for several minutes. These are deployed all over the U.S. part of the space station. So anywhere we are, we can easily grab one of these quickly if we need to.
Hey, Woody, my name's Russ. I'm a teacher here at the high school, and my question is, if you had to pick a better band, would you say NSYNC or Backstreet Boys?
Amazing. Hello, brother Russ. I'm in the NSYNC club for sure. Go to GT.
Well, we can talk about your bad life choices when you're back here on Earth. But real question, you just had the Axiom 2 crew arrive. And in our last minute to go here, how is it having visitors for this week on the ISS?
Well, it's been amazing. They've already gotten to work. It's been impressive seeing how quickly they've hit the ground running up here. They're just a great crew. And it's so fun to share the experience of being up here with newcomers. It's been a really positive experience thus far. We're looking forward to about another week of great science and great experiences with the Axiom crew up here.
Well, that looks like all the time we have for today. Woody, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Good luck on the rest of your mission and safe travels home. See you back in the Berg.
Thank you guys so much. It was a real pleasure to get to talk with you today. I hope you have a great day. Take care.
Upper St. Clair, thank you so much for your attention this afternoon. We hope you enjoyed hearing from Woody Hoburg aboard the International Space Station. I would like to introduce Mrs. Smith, high school robotics teacher, for some closing remarks.
Good afternoon, USC. Thank you for joining us during this live conversation with Woody Hoburg. This opportunity and many more are brought to you by the STEAM Pathway at Upper St. Clair High School. The STEAM Pathway works to connect students to classes, career exploration, and firsthand experiences all in the STEAM arena. To learn more about the STEAM Pathway and other opportunities related to it, visit the Academics tab at the USC High School website and click on STEAM Pathway. We would like to thank all of the people involved in making today a success, especially Woody Hoburg, NASA Mission Control, John Stephen, Laura Huron, Timothy Wagner, Michael Binkley, Todd West, Russ Hoburg, Keith Freilich, Lynn Kistler, Fred Piskorski, Pat Palazzolo, Tina Voico, and the Moonshot Museum, as well as all of the administrators, teachers, and support staff who took time from their already hectic May to bring this opportunity to the Upper St. Clair students. At this time, high school students who signed up for space-related programs this afternoon should report to their locations. Have a great day.